Google joins the race to replace journalists with a brand new artificial intelligence tool designed to report the news. This tool has been dubbed internally by Google Genesis. Now there's a name that would make me, were I a journalist, a pinch nervous. Because, the creation of all things, the beginning, well, it seems to indicate, suggest, hint at, perhaps you might even say, that Google is aiming to do a bit more than introduce the spell checker again. Or might even say that they are intending to start over from scratch after having wiped the slate clean. And considering their initial potential customer list, well, that does sound awfully realistic. As the first people to receive the pitch was the New York Times, the Washington Post, and News Corp, which of course owns, amongst other things, the Wall Street Journal. So Google isn't going out to some tiny outlets here and go, hey, we have this shiny thing, would you like to test it? No, they are aiming at the uppermost echelons of news and journalism in general right from the get-go. Gotta give it to Google, they do nothing by halves if nothing else. And again, Genesis. The last time I think I heard a name quite so unnerving, considering the context, was perhaps Dominion voting machines. But oh well. Though, there are some problems here. So right now, this is intended to be very, very secret, very underneath the table, as the tool, known internally by the working title Genesis, can take in information, details, current events, for example, and generate news content, the people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss the product. So there are 3 whistleblowers right now who have only described the pitch as unnerving, apparently, which is interesting, isn't it? Google themselves have said that, quite simply, these tools are not intended to and cannot replace the essential role journalists have in reporting, creating, and fact-checking their articles. Instead, they provide options for headlines and other writing styles. I very, very much so doubt that. Why? Because, well, Google wouldn't need to create a brand new AI to do that. In fact, all this really does is it's an algorithmic scanner that tries to get an idea of what is the most popular titles, for example. I've got a back-end tool for YouTube, for example, that gives me suggestions on title recommendations and description boxes. Now, a lot of the time it's completely useless because it's not a very powerful tool. It's something they built in-house for shits and giggles, but sometimes it's actually pretty damn good. So if Google was doing this, they could already do it. Like, they would be able to offer this software package like that, and I doubt anyone would find that particularly concerning. Like, what, it's going to give me a different headline suggestion? Okay, shrug. Nah, this is a lot more than this, because, of course, news scraper bots already exist and are being used by certain outlets who realize that a journalist costs a lot of money, a bot does not. Though this does have a weakness. What was it here? Oh yes, cannot replace the essential role journalists have in reporting, creating, and fact-checking. No, the AI is already capable of reporting it by itself. It's already capable of creating the news story by itself. The one point where it does fail, however, is in fact-checking, as there was a brilliant example of this just the other day. World of Warcraft players trick AI scraping games website into publishing nonsense. Oh yes, indeed. So, there are bots that already go through fan sites and Reddits and even Facebook and Twitter, etc. to go like, okay, what's this, and it's scanning for certain terms and words and expressions like, oh my, I'm so excited for this, or news, or wow, this new thing coming to blah, 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 blah. And then it takes that, analyzes the blurb, and then rewrites it into something that resembles a news piece. And this is what it created. World of Warcraft, WoW players excited for Glorbo's introduction. World of Warcraft, WoW players are thrilled about the introduction of Glorbo and eagerly await its impact on the game. What is Glorbo, you might ask? Well, that's where the fact-checking comes into play, as this all stemmed from a Reddit site. With the text here saying, I have to say, since they started hinting at it in Hearthstone in 1994, It was obvious that they would introduce Globo to World of Warcraft sooner or later. I feel like Dragonflight has been win after win so far, like when they brought back Chen Stormstout as the end boss of the new Karazhan. Absolutely amazing. Now, anyone with even the faintest knowledge of the subject matter, World of Warcraft in this case, or hell, even just Blizzard in general, would immediately pick up on a few things here, like Hearthstone in 1994. Spoiler alert, Hearthstone is not quite that old. But, of course, an AI bot, it's not going to understand this, because it has no context. The bot doesn't have experiences, it doesn't have wisdom, it doesn't have like a database to draw upon of historical facts or caveats or experiences, you know? It simply just goes like, okay, this has got all of the keywords I have. It's like, oh, they started hinting at, suggesting a history, then they note that history, so this is clearly confirmed, you know, and they're very excited as well. Fantastic. Like, they're enthusiastic, which means this is positive news. And positive news is unlikely to be controversial news. Basically, this is the kind of news that you can simply just kind of copy, put online, and the way you drive traffic through it is by repeating the news. This is what the majority of gaming news websites do these days. They take something another website has done, basically copy it, post it on their website, and so the bus rolls English, the wheels on the bus go round and round. The AI, of course, simply just simplify, speed up, and make the process a lot cheaper. But again, it gets very, very obvious when you do it too much. This is why you are still going to have some form of spell checking, though here's the thing. I don't think it's going to be journalists doing this, because the end result here is, as I mentioned previously in other videos, you are still going to have journalists being a 1% class. So you'll have the newsroom, and 1% of the people there will be the top people, the opinion pieces, the big names, the intelligentsia, the people who can actually draw an audience. They will retain their jobs because they're popular. Then you will have the, well, checkers, basically, and you're going to have dozens of these guys, and they're probably not going to be on site, they're probably going to be underpaid, they're probably going to be interns, they're probably going to be the people who hope and desperately wish that they will one day become the 1%, and they will primarily be put to fact-checking AI articles. Thousands of them every single day, because that's the beauty of AI and why so many news corporations are looking at it. There is so much news every day from every country on earth, on every level of society, that you could never report on even a fraction of it. But an AI can. Oh, the AI can report on everything. You could, in theory, have dedicated subsections to every region on the globe, with an AI simply just scanning local Twitter or searching for keywords like the name of a village, for example, or hell, even the name of notable people in the village. You could easily arrive at the point of Norwegian news where you have unironically news reports of a woman and her fish. Yes. So, this is a thing that actually happened in Norway quite some few years ago. There was an entire news segment dedicated on the main news. We only have one really news show in Norway, about a woman who had her fish stolen and the fact that the cat was the likely culprit. It was just like key, nothing is happening in Norway news. But you could do that. With an arsenal of AI bots, you could scrape down to the minutiae without any problem. You could potentially arrive at the point where there are so many news stories every day that you're going to need an AI to scrape the news for the handful of stuff you're actually interested in. Meanwhile, the interns being paid $1 on the hour will simply need to read through articles and go like, okay, is there anything wrong here? And like, next article, and eventually, of course, they themselves will be scanned and their patterns will be recognized. So, okay, what caused subject A7-B7 to notice that something was wrong here? Well, it was this part. Okay, program that into the fact-checking AI. And of course, there's also the little bit of a problem here that news AI will report anything newsworthy, which means potentially anti-progressive newsworthy stuff as well. So there's going to be a lot of editorializing required before the major news organizations, that most of them tend to have a rather profound bias, are going to be happy to actually adopt them in general use. But the simple fact that Google, now one of the largest companies on Earth, can immediately contact some of the biggest news organizations on Earth, get meetings, and start pushing their tools just overnight. Because bear in mind, again, the AI stuff, it's still relatively recent. It's been barely a year since this really started kicking off, and already we have Google, wooing the New York Times to start replacing their writing staff. This is going at the speed of light, frankly, and if the journalists aren't prepared, well, they're gonna be without a job awfully soon. But hey, you could always learn to code. That one will never grow old. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.